Hey, what's up, folks? This is Out of the Game. I'm JD.
Rockman in the house.
We are back at you one more again. Today, we're going to focus on the review of X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, before I get started, my man Rock has a few things to say about comic book movies, what to expect, what not to expect. So I'm going to let him go first, and then we'll get into it. Rockman, you have the floor.
Thank you, JD.
Sure.
I like to start off by saying, first off, comic book movies, they're not for us as comic book fans. Not for us. This is for us.
Not at all.
Comic book movies, not for us at all. I came to this epiphany the other night talking to a lot of friends about like the new X-Men movie and talking about the other movies that come out as well. And I've come to a conclusion is that we have to stop being so critical of these movies, not because like, oh, it's good. No, some of these movies are actually horrible. Matter of fact. Anyway, we're gonna get to that later.
We'll get to that.
But more so because it is almost impossible to go verbatim from the comic to the movie.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, okay.
A little bit.
Okay. I can debate that, but that's fine. Okay.
And that's more so because you're changing mediums. For example, let's take Avengers, for example. Great movie, right? Everybody enjoyed it. It was a fan favorite. They still did some of the things wrong, but because the movie was so good, we excuse that. Because, for example, where was Black Panther, Wasp, and Ant-Man? They actually started with the Avengers, and they weren't in the movies at all. We don't know if they're going to be in the movies.
We can argue that, yeah. Sure.
And we don't know if Black Panther's even going to show up at all. Ant-Man's going to show up because, of course, Ultron's
right. He's got his own movie coming, right?
And he has to be in there.
Yeah, he's got it.
So here's my remedy on the whole situation.
Oh, you got a remedy?
I have a remedy, sir.
You're solving the problem.
I am trying to solve the problem.
Okay, solve
You know,
the problem.
I'm not with Marvel, and they don't. I'm sure they don't care about us. So, but you know,
tell the people what the solution is.
Here's my solution, right? So, us fan people, I say this first off to the fans.
Fanboys in the house
all day. Support what you can. Support the comic books. Like right now, Original Sin is out. And this is actually really, really good. Like when we're talking about really good, this could really affect the whole Marvel universe.
Don't a Watcher get killed? Like
I don't even want to say anything because it's yes. Watch.
Yeah. So
go read this. This is really good. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. As I was saying, support them when you can. Like, support the comics, but not so much the movie. Because you know what the movie is? I found that the movie is a springboard to get everybody who watches movies to actually get interested into the comics.
A buddy of mine, I'm sorry to interrupt,
no,
but a buddy of mine thinks that the movie is just another reason to sell plastic. And I'm inclined to agree.
Now that
plastic
may be true.
Selling.
That may be true
plastic
too.
Selling.
But here's the thing
Toys.
with that. And the reason
games.
all
plastic.
kinds of franchises and
plastic.
merchandising. Yeah. And the reason why I say this is because think about it this way, right? Most people who are just not even moviegoers have probably seen 10 movies in the past few days. Not even that, probably in a day. You probably can name 10 movies off the top of your head that you've seen by accident. Well, most people who are not comic book readers probably can't even read the last 10 comic books they've read in the last year. So, you know, they have to get that volume and that atmosphere as well as that audience out there to kind of get them interested and say, oh, well, this happened in the movie. I kind of want to see what happens in the comic.
You kind of letting them off the hook, but it's
okay. And I'm getting to that too.
You kind of letting them off the hook, but it's okay.
Now, any other like comic book, I guess, company like Marvel, Image, DC, from now on, when you want to make movies, here's a remedy or here's a suggestion. Don't rehash the old stuff. Don't make a movie of Age of Apocalypse. Don't make a movie of Days of Future Past.
They didn't.
We'll get to that in a minute.
They didn't. But go ahead.
Don't do a movie based on like a comic book arc we've already seen.
So you saying like come up with a whole new arc?
Exactly.
Like maybe use the original arc as a platform and then...
Or don't even do that.
Don't even do that. Just make a completely different thing.
Work with Chris Beaumont, work with Byrne,
all
those people.
I'm sorry.
Make a screenplay.
I must... Oh, God, I got to interject. Because in a period in time, we're seeing every remake in the world. The original ideas obviously are a thing of the past.
I would love to see original movie.
RoboCop was remade. Total Recall was remade. I hear Blade Runner is getting remade.
And they asked Harrison Ford to come back.
Some things are fine the way they are.
This is
you
true.
shouldn't mess with them.
This
They're
is true.
fine the way they are. I know you've got all this new candy, these new toys that you want to play with, and this new candy, this eye candy you want to create with the CG and the cameras and the digital and the HD
Seriously,
and the 3D.
Please.
But some things are best left where they are. Were you done?
No,
I'm sorry.
actually,
Go ahead.
And there was an example of that. The reason why I said make a sequel or prequel to it, big example, Final Fantasy VII on the original PlayStation from way back in the day. Now, all the gamers, if you're a gamer, you're gonna know what it. Even if you're not a gamer, that's almost a household name. Everybody knows the history behind that. Well, and the reason why I say you should do a sequel because this is what they did. Square Enix came up with a great idea back in the day to actually find a way to make people care about the Final Fantasy series.
Make them care.
Make them care.
Oh, okay.
Final Fantasy Spirits Within, for example, when it came out, that was a horrible movie. Had nothing to do
Was
with
it a horrible movie?
It was a great movie. Had nothing to do with
So it
Final
wasn't a
Fantasy.
horrible movie.
It wasn't a horrible
It just
movie.
had nothing to do with the
Nothing
game.
to do with the
Because I
game.
thought it was good.
Yeah, it was great. It just there was
Alright.
no resemblance to Final Fantasy.
It had no resemblance.
No
to the game.
resemblance.
But it was a good movie.
It was a great movie.
Okay.
It was a great movie.
Just wanted to check.
Oh, yeah, of course. Here's the thing, right? So, coming back around after Final Fantasy VII is made, and people are like, oh man, that was one of the best RPGs of all time. Where Square Enix said, okay, well, let's do a movie of it. But when they did a movie of it, instead of just rehashing the whole Final Fantasy VII game, they made it a sequel, which was dope because the sequel actually had a lot of the remnants in history from the game seamlesly.
Yeah.
They didn't have to explain a backstory. They didn't have to worry about the characters. They were all just in it, and it was a new plot based off of the Final Fantasy VII RPG.
Excellent.
And to this day, sold like gangbusters.
Okay.
So in conclusion, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you think about like, oh, we want to make, or, you know, and I'm sure the fans out there is like, well, Rockman, you know, what are you telling us? Are you telling us to
Make it
just
plain.
give up on it?
Make
No,
it plain.
Just
make it plain what you're saying.
Make it plain.
Make it
Even
plain.
if you can't
So I don't have
do
to
that,
ask any questions.
no, just move on to the next thing. Say, hey, this is what happened after Age of
Yeah.
Apocalypse.
Right.
This is the what if.
Right.
If things went
What
right,
if?
you know,
Yeah.
or
They used to
if,
make what
if
if books.
Magneto survived,
Yeah.
you know, Xavier
Yeah.
survived.
Right.
But that's all I'm saying on that one. You know, before you jump the gun and say, oh, you know, remember, Marvel had to give up these rights to these movies.
They had to.
Simply to stay in business.
Okay.
And that's a business logistics.
Worked out for them.
Now, and it did. It did. Now, I agree, especially after hearing all the hoopla about this X-Men movie, they should work on getting the rights back as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But, you know, just remember that next time you want to judge it. But I'm done. JD, take the floor and butcher it.
Y'all see this? You see this? This is not the movie that was made. It was not the movie that was made.
Is that not the comic?
That's the book, but that's not the
movie.
movie that was made. They should have called it something completely different.
Days of
I've got
Past.
some trusty, dusty notes, that I wanna read.
Sure.
You know, just go over a few things that
Sure,
happened
sure.
in the movie.
Sure, sure.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
That's another thing.
If
Big
you have not
spoiler.
seen it, cut this
Cut
off now.
If you do plan on seeing
Come
that
back
movie,
when you watch
come
it,
back after you watch, please.
because you're about to get upset. If
Like-
you're like me. Now,
if
wait,
you're a
now,
comic
wait.
book fan.
Before I get to my notes, let me just show you how deep the X-Men runs with me. I have stuff like this in my collection, and I've come to enjoy these books
Ooh, is that-
so much, and just
was that a rogue?
yeah, that was a role.
Is that number 200?
X-Men
Wait, wait,
200
wait. Oh, my
and
goodness.
the Askanai son and Deadly Genesis.
You
and,
did not break
just-
out Genesis on
Yeah.
man.
So
Ooh, it's about to be brutal.
whew, my roots run deep with X-Men. Probably the book that goes back with me the furthest. You know, one of my first collector's item was an X-Men book. Okay, so when these movies are done wrong, it really kind of bothers me because the stories were so good, and to see them be butchered, it's just dumbfounding to me. It's just dumbfounding to me. So I've got some notes. Okay.
Do it.
Okay. So I'm just gonna try to progressively go through the foo bars in the movie from the beginning. Okay. The first action sequence with
Wait, before you start, I just want them to take note that he has 2 pages.
Yeah, I got 2 pages of notes here.
And that's him being generous.
Yeah,
I
I'm being
just wanna
generous.
say
I'm being
that.
generous.
That's
Yeah,
him being
okay.
generous.
So the first scene, the action sequence, just straight eye candy. Bishop shouldn't even be in this timeline, okay? Bishop's future was completely different from the future of Days of Future Past, so he shouldn't even be in the movie.
No,
okay,
dude, really?
okay. So you got Kitty, you got Bishop, you got Warpath, and you got Blink, and you got Iceman, and you got Sunspot. All eye candy. They did a bunch of jumping and firing and icing and punching, and those got destroyed.
Which I
None
wanna
of them No Sentinels got destroyed.
That was the Exiles. I want to say that, right? And for people who don't know...
Well, they should have been exiled because they did nothing. No Sentinels were destroyed. Okay, so let's go a little further. So, Days of Future Past was basically a time where the Sentinels had taken over. You know, they had not only hunted down mutants, they now hunted down everybody who was superpowers. So the Avengers are gone. Most of the X-Men are gone. They're dead. Okay, they're dead. So the plan is to jump somebody back in time to change a critical event that made all this possible. Now, in the book, the original story written by Chris Claremont, which was wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Claremont. I appreciate it.
Always making good stuff.
They send back Kitty, and the mutant that sends Kitty back is Rachel Summers. And why Rachel Summers, you ask? Because she's a telepath, and she's
super
telekinetic, and she has the ability to transpose somebody's mind, to switch the minds of a person, their future self and their past self. But that's not what happened in the movie. In the movie, they sent Wolverine back because they said his body was the only body that could take the trip.
Really?
No offense to you, Jackman,
Really?
but stop focusing on Wolverine. Okay, if I was Ellen Page, I'd be pissed because it should have been her going back.
It should have been.
It should have been her going back if you want to stick to the story.
That was the whole point.
So let me just fast forward a little bit. Okay, so when she jumps back to the past, well, first of all, Xavier's alive in the future. In one of the previous X-Men movies, he's already killed.
Yeah.
Got killed by the Phoenix, but they didn't care to explain that.
Thank
They didn't care about that.
That's probably the smartest thing they've done.
So Wolverine goes back and Xavier's walking. How, you ask? Well, this trusty dusty chemical that Beast has come up with somehow is the same formula that he's using to be able to go back and forth between beast mode and human mode. Xavier's shooting it like it's heroin, like it's crack, and it's helping him walk, but at the same time, it's diminishing his power.
That's awesome. Because Xavier would totally trade those.
What are y'all thinking? What are y'all thinking? Oh, and the students in the school are gone. The school is no more. All the students got drafted in the Vietnam War. Every last one of them. All the students got drafted. They're gone.
That's a little bleak.
The only one left is Hank. And he's making the Xavier walk, I can't use my powers drug that he's shooting like heroin. But let's go forward. Did you know that Magneto was the one who killed JFK? Yeah, in the movie, Magneto is accused of killing JFK. That's the reason for the prison break. You know, Quicksilver, they go find him and he runs down and they've got him 200 feet below the Pentagon and they get him out and because he's the one who killed JFK, but later on we find out that he didn't. He curved the bullet.
We're talking about they're regional now. I mean, like, their jabs are just not reaching the opponent at all. It's just really bad.
I'm not done.
Oh, that's...
So Magneto killed JFK.
That's
okay. Then later on, he's the one, once he figures out why Wolverine is back, he's the one that tries to kill Mystique. He shoots her. Magneto would never shoot Mystique.
What?
Yeah, I'm not done. Okay. Magneto shoots Mystique, okay? So that's crazy. Here's the worst part.
I don't even want to live anymore.
Okay, so in the story, they're trying to prevent the assassination of Senator Robert Kelly, who doesn't like mutants and wants to pass an anti-mutant law.
Explain how deep that, because that's actually deep in the comic.
He feels like that's a threat, that mutants are a threat. Senator Robert Kelly, okay? Now, Boulevard Trask is a scientist who develops the Sentinel technology. Now, in the movie, he's the one who's dictating this, and he's the one who Mystique is after. He's the one she's trying to kill, Mr. Trask, not a senator. Which would have made a better story.
I just want to interject here. In all cartoon, superhero / comic etiquette, scientists never run anything unless they are just like
never. They never run anything.
Nothing.
Never.
They are always being bullied by two people.
Right.
A politician.
Right.
Some kind of human.
Right.
Or apocalypse.
Right.
That's
right.
Look at Senator.
So Senator Robert Kelly doesn't even make an appearance in this movie. He's not even in this movie. So for the people that love the book like I do, if you're expecting to see Senator Robert Kelly, just stay at home because you're not going to see him. He's not in it. Okay. So Mr. Trask is the target. He's the target. Now, why is he the target? Well, let me go back to the future. And these Sentinels are so undefeatable. Why? Because he's managed to use the DNA of Mystique and somehow fused it into a robot, and now they can shift and they can adapt and they can do anything. In other words, they can't be destroyed. How does human DNA go with robotics? In the book, some of the Sentinels actually were destroyed. The fact of the matter is they were massive. They were huge, and there were so many of them. That's what was so overwhelming about them. In an age of Transformers, we can have people transforming on a movie set. We can't make a big Sentinel. The Sentinels in this movie look like the Destroyer from Thor. Go.
What? Seriously? From Thor? We couldn't. I mean, I'm just saying maybe they were cyborgs.
Let me say that again. The Sentinels in this movie look like the Destroyers in Thor. Big powers coming out of their face. And they pulled a RoboCop.
No.
They stealthed them. They're all stealth. They're all black.
Come on.
The Sentinels look like the Destroyer in Thor.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: could Xavier detect them?
No.
Okay.
He couldn't stop him.
Okay. See that's
He couldn't stop him. What does it matter if he can detect him or not? He couldn't stop him.
But they don't have that kind of stealth technology. I mean, that's
In this film, they did. This is not the movie that they made. I already showed you. I told you that. It's not the movie that they made. Okay.
What would the title of? This
I'm not
movie
done.
be? Okay,
I'm not done.
All right. We're gonna name this when it's done.
So what would have been interesting, because in the movie, Mystique is trying to kill this guy because all of her friends have been captured and picked on and experimented on by Mr. Trask. That would have been interesting to see, to delve into her and this change that happened in her, because Magneto's helping Xavier trying to find her because they know she's gonna kill this guy. That would have been interesting instead of focusing so much on Xavier losing hope. He's a cracked out wino who has no school, and now Wolverine is having to give him a pep talk. Wolverine is giving Xavier a pep talk?
Really? Like Cyclops has done it. A few other mutants, but Wolverine?
Look, man.
Wolverine was closer to Xavier than anybody. And I mean, that's cool.
I'm telling you it happened. I'm not lying. It happened. So Wolverine is having to give Xavier a pep talk. The person who's got this dream of human and mutant coexistence, the person who galvanized this entire movement, now he needs a pep talk, and the focus is him and Magneto again. We already did him and Magneto in First Class, by the way.
Which was awesome.
What would have been more interesting is if you'd have shown what happened to Mystique and what has caused her to get to this point where she feels like she's got to kill this guy.
Well,
that would have been interesting.
And if I can interject. The reason why that's so crazy of him losing hope is even in the comics, Xavier has had plenty of times where he just up and left, but he's never lost hope in his dream of making a mutant and human coexist. Even when he was young. When he was young, he was more passionate about it than ever. So for this to happen, it's not that it couldn't have happened, it's just so out of character for his character. That's what makes us just like, really? Like, nothing else?
Well, let me, I'm almost done. Let me finish. So Azazel's dead. He's been captured and experimented on. Angel's dead, so no Zoe Kravitz. She's gone.
Oh my God.
She's dead. She's been captured and experimented on. Havoc has been drafted. He's in the Vietnam War, so it's told. And what looks like two horsemen of apocalypse. One must have been pestilence, and the other was famine because they used their powers, and some soldiers threw up and some fell. And you never see them really again in the movie. So what was the point of having them in there? There's no brotherhood of evil mutants, which there was in the book. There's no Destiny in this movie. And Destiny was the one who caused Mystique to want to even get on this path.
So they didn't even have the books of Destiny?
You heard what I said. Rock, this is not the movie they made. This is not the movie that they made.
I'm trying to be strong, but I'm crying inside because it's pretty terrifying. Like, seriously.
Well, weep for us all. Because it's bad.
And why the Vietnam War? Why was everybody just basically
It seems
drafted?
like an overt attempt to make the X-Men more interesting by involving all these historical events. The X-Men are interesting enough. They don't need any more historical events to validate the fact that they're cool.
Please don't.
We don't need them to be involved in Vietnam.
Don't make them
we didn't need Magneto to be the person who assassinated JFK.
It worked for Watchmen.
We didn't need that.
Because that's in the story.
We didn't need
that.
for X-Men. We didn't need that.
No.
So no Robert Kelly, no Destiny, no Rachel Summers, which are three pivotal characters in this storyline from the book. The words of Chris Claremont, not in this movie. So, the only thing they did get right is the fact that everybody dies.
Yes.
Colossus gets torn in half.
Yes.
Blink gets evaporated, along with Sunspot, who gets his arm torn off. Warpath. Oh, Storm did actually get stabbed in the back. Now that happened in the book.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It happened. Okay. Yeah, it happened.
Well,
but in this future, in this distant future, nobody has aged. They look the same age they did in the first X-Men movies.
Nobody
aged.
Halle Berry's figured out
Halle
the
Berry
secret
looked the same. She's
of,
figured out the secret. Colossus is not aged. Kitty Pryde is not aged. Iceman is not aged. Nobody has aged. So look, you got your money. I read some reviewer somewhere said that this is going to challenge Avengers. No, you're not. You're not even close.
No.
You may have done 300 million, 250 million by now worldwide. I think 150 over here gross for the weekend. But you're never going to get Avengers money. And here's why. I understand you want to make a good movie, a decent movie. You want to make it for a broad spectrum of people, not just the hardcore fans, but the hardcore fans are going to be the ones who come back and see it 3 or 4 times.
That is true. I mean, look at Avengers. That's why Avengers reached the billions.
Right.
Everybody.
Over $1 billion. Avengers is over $1 billion. Okay. I saw it 3 times. I saw Captain America: Winter Soldier twice. I wanted to see it a 3rd time. This, I'm ashamed to say that I saw it in the first place. If you want to get Avengers money, give it back to Marvel. If you're not going to do it, you need to stick to the script. Okay. Now, you said earlier that movies that stick to the script in terms of comic book movies don't really do well. I beg to differ. How about Sin City? How about 300?
That's true.
If you get those books, it is verbatim. What happened in the book happened in the movie.
But to interject there, the reason why they could be so verbatim is because 300 only focused on a few key people. X-Men, you have anywhere from 20 to 40 people.
Are you really trying to make a valid point to me right
now?
now?
I'm just
as
saying.
An X-Men fanatic, are you really trying to make a valid point to me right now?
The movie, baby.
Just stop.
The movie,
just stop. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
It's gonna be hard to do, man, because unless you can sit there.
It's gonna be hard to do.
It's gonna be hard to do.
The words are already written.
That's true, but you can't.
Chris Claremont wrote the words. You don't need a script. You don't need a screenplay.
But think about.
Do the book.
But I mean,
you got people that want to see this 5 times.
I mean, think about just.
I'm not thinking. I'm mad.
I was just saying, man. Think about 300. 300 is set to a very small story, and they can go from point A to point B in a movie. Watchmen could do that because you only focus on like a handful of people.
Right.
But X-Men, the problem is,
right.
And I'm not defending them. I'm just saying the problem is that when you have so many people,
right.
It's hard to focus on a backstory.
Right.
It's hard to focus on the current story.
Right.
I'm just saying, man, I don't think we're going to see one from X-Men. I don't.
Well,
even if Marvel comes back and take it, they still have a lot to do,
I'm going to agree to disagree. Okay? When Marvel took control of their franchises, the movies got infinitely better. Okay? They built this foundation that later became the Avengers movie. And they're going to build another. They're constantly building on that foundation to lead into the next Avengers movie, which is awesome, by the way. Marvel, I love what you're doing. I hope you get the rights for Spider-Man and X-Men back so you can take control of these excellent, wonderful, beautifully created and written about characters. Because Fox is tripping. They're tripping. And now wait, the finale, last scene after the credits. You see this desert scene where some guy's on a cliff and he's constructing a pyramid. It just so happens to be the very first mutant ever in Sabanur, which is also known as Apocalypse. But instead of Apocalypse, the one that you and I know, we see some scrawny kid with a hood and he's pale and he's got purple lips. They didn't even put the stripe on his face. And then you supposedly see some horsemen in the background that I didn't really catch. I read it in review. If you're gonna do Apocalypse,
don't.
Just
don't.
don't.
Please don't. Age of Apocalypse. Even if you're not going to do just regular Apocalypse and you're gonna do Age of Apocalypse,
leave this alone, please.
Please, because that would have to be
leave this alone.
A rated R
Leave
movie.
it alone. You're not gonna do it right. Leave it alone.
No.
Until you give it back to Marvel, you're not gonna do it right. Leave it.
And people will have
alone.
to die in Age of Apocalypse. And X-Men are going to have to trade allegiances because that's what actually happened.
Oh, well, people died in this one, too.
I know, but they're going to have to
It was just stupid the way they died.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. You got to be brutal because Apocalypse spared no one.
Well, it's coming. X-Men Apocalypse is coming. Okay.
We'll not probably see that.
Whatever petition need to be signed, I suggest you sign it. Whatever boycott needs
Put
to be
it on our
boycotted,
page,
I suggest
please.
you boycott it.
Please, whoever's boycotting.
And I don't know what made me mad, or the fact that the
movie.
movie sucked, or the fact that people are giving it good reviews. It's all eye candy. Y'all think about the action sequences. Quicksilver had the best action sequence, and by the way, didn't really know that Magneto was his dad, and him and Scarlet Witch.
We're not even gonna get
him
into
and his
that one,
sister
'cause,
Scarlet Witch are about to be. Or
they're not even twins.
Should be the same age,
Not even
roughly.
twins. Not
you
even twins.
vaguely you catch a glimpse of her later on in the movie, like sitting in his lap. So you've made it clear. You've made it very clear that you are not interested in following the guidelines of the book. So suffer, okay? Suffer. You will not reach 1 billion this way, okay?
You just
Avengers,
turn
Marvel
right now.
reached 1 billion, over 1 billion. You're not even at Dark Knight numbers yet. You're not even competing with DC's movie. You're not competing.
And I didn't even like Dark Knight Rises because last 10 minutes Batman decides to be Batman.
I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the one with the Joker, the one that did 500 million.
Yeah,
they ain't even got those numbers yet. And you won't get them unless you do it right, okay? Again, we, the fanboy, are gonna be the ones to see it 4 or 5 times if you do it right, because it means a lot to us. I know it's just comic books. I know it's all intangible. I know it's just entertainment. But you wrote it for a reason. You wrote it, or Marvel wrote it rather, to impact people. And it impacted me as a kid. And so when I see you butcher it, it's absolutely horrible to me. Okay? It's absolutely horrible. Marvel, y'all keep up the good work. I'm done. Fox, you tripping. Suffer. You'll never reach 1 billion.
I just want to say this.
Hey, I wrote a song about it.
You wrote a song about
I did.
it? Oh,
maybe you'll get to hear it.
Okay, all right, cool. Was this gonna be the sequel to X-Mess?
No,
maybe.
we'll see.
All right, it could be Days of Future Lost. That's what you can call it.
Well, they lost. Fox is lost. Yeah, they lost.
I'm Rockman.
I'm JD. Remember, if you're gonna play it right.
And if you're gonna do it right.
We out.
You have
meter's going up.
You have Excalibur.
I don't need video game bill on my list of items.